So let's start today in a comfortable seat. And if you know that you're feeling a little tighter in the hip, it's just hard for you to sit tall, always really nice to sit up on something. So a blanket or a block or two. And let's start with our right shin crossed in front of our left shin and just feel like you're crossing in the center. So good indication that you might need some blankets underneath your sit bones is if your knees are really high sitting like this. So make any little adjustments that you need to, and then let's roll our shoulders back a few times. Get all of the crunches from the weekend out of the way, and then start to roll them forward as well. Yay, Susie. Nice to see you. All right, and then start to roll your shoulders back again. And then just allowing your shoulder blades to release down your back. You can take your hands to your thighs. If your eyes aren't closed already, go ahead and let them gently close. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha, ha, let Monday go. Do that a few more times. So anything that might be stressing you out, kids back to school, sorting everything out. I've been in charge of a flower farm this week. It's stressing me out and I'm letting that go. Really giving yourself permission to start to slow down, to start to pay attention to your body, to start to pay attention to your breath. All that other stuff is going to be there. You don't have to worry about it for the next hour. So you're starting to drop into your Jai breath here, that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose, creating that soft rush of air in the back of your throat. You're really using that sound to help quiet the mind, focus the mind, to help draw you inward. You're going to get distracted. You're going to hear sounds other than the breath. Your attention's going to go there. You're going to attach to the thoughts coming in and out of your mind. That's fine too. So whenever that distraction happens, just remind yourself to come back to your breath, maybe with a little smile. Good. From here, let's gently blink our eyes open, and we're going to do a little side-to-side stretching, just flowing with the breath. So rooting into your sit bones, press down into your right palm. Inhale, left arm comes up and over. As you exhale, release, and then inhale up and over on the other side. You don't have to make a very big movement here, just kind of warming things up. Let's do a few to each side. Try to let those shoulder blades continue to release down your back. Good. So the next time that left arm is reaching up and over, let's stay here. Maybe begin to bring your gaze up underneath that top arm. Notice if your left sit bone is getting a little light, anchor down there. And then feel those right ribs spin up towards the ceiling. Good. As you inhale, come on up. We're going to extend our legs to straight. You're going to recross with that opposite shin, probably the left shin in front. Good. And then just find that seat. And again, just drop into that quiet place. See how quickly you can get there. So we practice this. We're pretty good at it most days. That being said, some days it's a little harder, a little more challenging to quiet everything down. That's okay. As you're exhaling, you can breathe down into your sit bones so it feels as though you're anchoring. And as you're inhaling, you're finding lengthening through the sides of your waist, lengthening in your spine. The breath is growing you in opposite directions. Good, and then blink your eyes open. We're going to do that lateral side to side stretching again, just with a little flow. So this time root down into that left palm, right arm comes up and over. Make sure that the shoulders are staying out of your ears as you exhale, and then inhale, left arm comes up. Exhale, release down. Inhale. Good. So let's do one more to the right. And then the next time you come to that left side hold here, you can sneak that left hand out a little further. Might even be able to come onto your forearms. I'm not feeling that today. I'm feeling a little tight here. Pinky side of the right hand spins down. So you're getting that internal rotation in that upper arm. You're wrapping your left ribs up towards the ceiling, maybe gazing up underneath that top arm. Good, and then as you exhale, you release. So just extend your legs to straight, give them a little shake here. And then we're gonna go ahead and come onto our tabletop position. And just begin to move into some cat-cow here. So land with your shoulders over your wrists, your knees underneath your hips, your lower belly pull in and up. Root down into your shins, into the tops of your feet as you inhale, chest extends forward through the gates of your shoulders. As you exhale, press your mat away, round and really let the back of your neck lengthen and release. And then you're continuing like that. Again, eyes closed can feel really nice here. Just helps you to pay attention to the physical sensations that you're getting in your body. And you're just gently starting to connect movement with breath. So finding this idea of vinyasa. You're moving at a pace that feels really organic to you today. It's not too fast. It's not too slow. It's just right. Good, couple more rounds. If you want to kind of add some circles in the hips here as you're doing this, any other movement that might feel good, you're welcome to do that. Baker family looking good doing the yoga. I see you, Joey. Nice work. Good. On your next inhale, come back to neutral spine. So walk your hands forward a couple of inches here. Gonna curl our toes under. Keep a nice deep bend in your knees as you start to stretch your sit bones up towards the ceiling. And let's take our feet as wide as the mat today. And then just rock up on your toes and then release your heels back. They're probably not gonna go all the way. Might get some crackles in the toes here. I'm getting lots of those. Just do that a few times. Breath is still smooth and steady. That inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. Now let's come up to our toes. Let's shift our heels off to the right. Good, and then just hold there for a few breaths. Again, you can let the heels release down any amount. Come back to center and then shift the heels, both heels off to the left. Pressing evenly into your hands, so feeling a little lateral stretch, a little stretch to the sides of the legs. Good, and then we come back to center. So just bring your feet so that they're about hips distance apart. You're gazing between your feet so your ears are lining up with your biceps, that inner arm. And then nice and easy here, start to walk your hands back to meet your feet. Let's just do a little standing cobra or Arda Uttanasana. As you inhale, hands on shins or thighs, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Good work. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale, lengthen, feel the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. As you exhale, fold. Good, inhale, lengthen. Good, exhale, fold in. This time, press down into your feet, stretch arms out and up, take up space as you rise up to your extended mountain pose. And then as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. And let's just flow a few times with our Arda Surya Namaskar here, connecting movement with breath. Let these feel really good. Inhale, reach up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Really let the back of your neck release. Inhale, Arda Uttanasana, gazing forward. Exhaling, folding into your Uttanasana. And then inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Let's do 3 more of those. I'm not going to cue you. You can just follow along with me. If you know these, close your eyes and flow. Again, you're just finding a pace for you that feels really good. Some days we want to move a little faster, especially if we're feeling a little tired. Other days we're feeling a little anxious, so we slow things down. The yoga practice is this really fluid, flexible thing. It's always a little different, even though we're doing the same poses over and over again. You might notice just a few rounds of this, everything already starts to open up, starts to feel maybe even just a little easier. Good. And when you're done with your 3rd round, you're just pausing with your palms together at your heart, eyes closed, checking in, noticing how you're feeling. Feeling those arches lift, feeling your sternum lift as your tailbone releases down. So again, this idea that you're being stretched out in opposite directions. And then from the back of your mat, let's take our feet to hips distance apart. Inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest lengthens forward, gaze comes forward, and then nice and slow, keep your heels pressing into the earth as long as you can. Start to walk forward into your downward facing dog. Nice work. Looks good, Susie. Take a couple of breaths here. Really feel the forearms squeeze in towards each other so you're activating the arms. And then let's inhale, lift our right leg up, keep the hips even. As you exhale, step that foot through, land on your left knee. And then we're going to inhale, rise up into our low crescent pose. Feel the outer hip squeeze in here so you're getting a lot of support. Bring your right fingertips to your left wrist, and we're going to do another little side stretch here. So leaning off to the right, maybe bringing your gaze up underneath that left arm. You want to make sure you're not on a tightrope here. So feet are about hips distance apart. Even wider if you're feeling a little unsteady. This is for sure a balance pose. Inhale back to center. Good. As you exhale, palms plant, curl your left toes under, and step that left foot to meet your right foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Pressing into your feet, stretch arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, hinge, forward, fold in. Good. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep looking forward, bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot way back, then left. Few breaths here in full plank pose. You're always welcome to come to your knees, especially this first one. Use the legs more than you think you can. Keep your gaze slightly forward so the back of your neck is nice and long. Really nice. We're going to come to our knees here. Few little mini chaturanga. So as you exhale, your elbows bend an inch, maybe 2, no more than shoulders in line with elbows. Inhale, press the floor away, arms straighten. Couple more like that. Exhale, lower, mini chaturanga. Good work. Inhale, press up. Exhale, lower, hover. Keep breathing, gaze forward. And then in one piece, land on your belly. Tops of the feet pressed, nice. Susie, reach your arms by your side so palms face in towards each other. Keep anchoring down into your lower body as you inhale, head and chest peel forward and up. Arms start to lift. Really feel your shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Roll a little more to the outer edges of your feet. And then let's take our arms out wide so palms face down. Just notice how that changes the lift that you're getting in your upper body. Elbows bend, fingertips underneath your shoulder heads. Good. As you exhale, lower. Inhale, Bhujangasana, low cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale up here. Good. As you exhale, pull back to your tabletop, curl your toes under, downward facing dog. And then nice and slow, start to walk your hands back to meet your feet. Inhale, chest extends forward. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. And you can just stay at the back of your mat. Let's do a little tree pose here. So root down into your left foot, come up to your right toes, and then start to open that hip up. You might stay here with toes on the earth. Maybe you lift that foot a little higher into the lower left leg. Maybe you can reach down and snuggle that foot into the upper left thigh. Your breath is smooth and steady. You're finding something to gaze at in front of you that isn't moving, a little drishti. Palms can come together at your heart. Notice all the micro movements happening in that standing foot to keep you upright. Notice if there's tension in your face and jaw, smile a little bit. Tree pose is fun. Finally, perhaps extend your arms up. Maybe bring your gaze up. It's harder to do if the ceilings in your space are a little higher, if you're practicing outside. It can be a nice little challenge. Good. As you exhale, go ahead and release your hands down. Release that right foot down. So again, just make sure that you're at the back of your mat. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Just check to see that feet are hip distance apart. Nice and slow. Keep those heels pressing back for as long as you can. They're going to lift up at some point, but make your way into your downward facing dog. Couple breaths. You're just gazing between your feet here. Nice work, everybody. As you inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. Land on your right knee. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. As we inhale, arms reach up. So our low crescent pose. Feel that lengthening through the sides of your waist. You can pretend that somebody is gently pulling up on your wrist here so you're getting nice and long. And then left fingertips to right wrist. Start to side bend to the left. Really feel those outer hips squeeze in towards each other to give you a lot of support. Breath smooth and steady. Good. Inhale back to center. As you exhale, hands release down, curl those right toes under, and then step that right foot to meet your left foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Pressing into your feet, stretching arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Good work. As you inhale, arms reach, starting to feel the heat build in our bodies. As you exhale, you hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest lengthens forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, left foot back, then right. Few breaths in plank pose. Again, you're welcome to come to your knees. Really activate the whole body. Keep your gaze slightly forward so the back of the neck is nice and long. Breath smooth and steady. Good. Come to your knees. As you exhale, lower halfway, pause there, and then come onto your belly. Inhale, low cobra. Good. As you exhale, press the tabletop, curl your toes under, downward facing dog. Take a nice deep inhale here. Exhale, slowly walk your hands back to meet your feet. Inhale, chest lengthens. Good. Exhale, fold in. Inhaling, pressing into your feet, stretching arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart, and we take tree pose. So with the hip opening on that left side, standing in the right leg. So come up to your left toes. Open up that hip. It doesn't have to be very deep at all. Notice if that right hip starts to pop off to the side, squeeze it into the midline. Then you can lift that foot a little higher to the lower right leg. Maybe you can use your hand to help you snuggle it into the upper right thigh. Gaze soft and gentle, breath smooth and steady. How does this side feel different than the other side? Notice all of those micro movements happening in your standing foot. So building a lot of strength there. No big deal if you fall out. Just like all of our poses, some poses work better on some days than they do on others. Good, extending your arms. Really nice. Maybe beginning to bring your gaze up. Good, as you exhale, hands come to heart center. Go ahead and release there. So you're at the back of your mat. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest lengthens forward, gaze comes forward. Nice and slow, start to walk your hands forward. Good, and then let's step our right foot forward, our left foot forward to meet it. Good, as you inhale, chest lengthens. As you exhale, you fold in. Press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. Good, as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So let's just do full rounds of our Surya Namaskara A, starting at the top of the mat. Just nice and easy, just finding a nice gentle flow before we move into the yin portion of our practice today, where we hold the stretches a little longer. So here we go. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left foot. So you can do full plank here, or you're welcome to come to your knees, lower halfway, hover, and all the way down. Good, inhale, low cobra. Good, as you exhale, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths. Gazing between your feet, really firming the mat away with your hands so the arms feel really active. Activate the leg as the front of the thigh presses towards the back of the thigh as you stretch your sit bones up towards the ceiling. Good, as we inhale, a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes. End of your exhale, you're gonna step right foot forward, then left. You can walk forward, or maybe you lightly spring. Inhale, chest extends. Exhale, fold in. Pressing into your feet, stretching arms out and up. Good, as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. One more. Inhaling, reaching, take up lots of space. Let this feel really flowy and good. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, left foot back, then right. Again, your choice, full chaturanga or knee chaturanga. Inhale into your low cobra or your upward facing dog. Good, as you exhale, pull back into your downward facing dog. Few breaths. Legs active. Good, as you inhale, a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. Actually, I've lied. We're gonna stay here. So from our downward dog, we're gonna come to our knees, and we're gonna do a little toe stretch here. So this can be really intense. We're gonna hold this for a good minute, and I'm gonna give you some options here. I'm gonna get my timer ready here. So we're gonna actually hold this about 1:30, if possible, and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do. All right, so from your downward facing dog, you're gonna curl your toes under, and then you're gonna start to melt your hips back any amount. So you're going to start to feel a stretch in the toes. You might need to reach back and get that pinky toe underneath. So some of us are going to stay here. Some of us might come a little more upright, sitting onto the toes, which is an intense, intense stretch. So you might have to come out a little bit. I'm going to start the timer. And you just focus on keeping your breath smooth and steady. So as we move into this yin portion of our practice, you are welcome to continue with your ujjayi breath. For a lot of us, that sound is really nice. It helps to keep us present and focused. You can let go of that a little bit too as well. So it also can be really nice to start to count the breath. I'm going to kind of come out of this a little bit. So it does get intense. So you're kind of using this tabletop position to gauge this stretch that you're getting in your toes. So this is a movement that we don't do a lot with our feet and our toes. So it's a really good one to do a time or two a week, maybe not for quite as long as we're doing it right now. As a result of the intensity, are you clenching your teeth? Can you soften there? Is there tension around the eyes? Can you soften there? We're almost there. We've got just a few more good breaths. This is one of those poses where the best part is coming out of it. You get that really wonderful sense of relief. All right, so let's start to move in that direction. And as you come back to your tabletop, or you might still be there, I find that after that pose, it feels really amazing to circle the ankles out a few times each direction. All right, so from here, for our next pose, we're going to go ahead and sit back. So coming to a seat and taking our legs out nice and wide. And that, of course, is relative for everybody. Again, you might find that it's hard for you to sit like this. So sitting up on a blanket or two, or a cushion, a firm cushion from the couch, some blocks can feel really nice. Typically, when we're doing this pose in our vinyasa practice, we're being really mindful to keep the legs active and engaged. So that's not such a concern today. We are going to start to hinge forward a little bit. And also, we usually think of keeping our spine nice and long. It's fine if you start to round a little bit here. In fact, sometimes that can get into a really nice place in the neck. So start to move your way in. Maybe you come down to forearms. You might be pretty high. You might be able to grab a block and rest your forehead on the block. We're going to be here for a few minutes. So the temptation can be to get really deep into the pose, to go for that deep sense of sensation. So maybe knowing that we're holding this pose for a few minutes, you do a little less starting out, knowing that there's plenty of time for joints, muscle, fascia in your body to start to release. The other thing about this yin practice is we're going for some sensation. It's definitely a little uncomfortable, not in an injurious kind of a way, but in a challenging kind of way. So if you're feeling that, that's okay. Do back out a little bit if you need to. But if any of these poses ever start to feel like too much, time-wise, back out or come all the way out. You can always come into a child's pose. So really listen to your body. Get curious about where you're getting intense stretch and intense sensation in your body. Just start to notice things. When your attention wanders, when you notice that, just bring your focus back to your pose, to your breath, to the sensations that you're feeling physically. We're down to about our last minute here, so probably 7, 8 breaths. Can you melt in a little more? Do you need to back out a little bit? So ask yourself these questions, make any little adjustments that feel right. Nice and slow. You're going to start to walk your way out of this. And then you're just going to take your hands underneath the knees, bend the legs in. You might want to lean back on your hands, just give the legs a little shake. So extending them to straight. Let's keep our right leg forward. Let's bring the sole of the left foot to the inside of the right thigh. And again, we're going to just take a little forward fold with this hip opening. So we know this is our Janu Shavasana in our vinyasa practice. It's kind of like a half butterfly pose here in this configuration. So go ahead, find a little bit of a twist. Again, you don't need to be so concerned with keeping that right foot flexed. If it feels good, you can certainly do that. But otherwise, you can just allow yourself to melt in here. You might be pretty upright and feeling a stretch. Again, little block, little prop for underneath the head can feel great. We're all built a little different. So if this is easy for you, you might be folding all the way in. For those of us that are tighter, we're going to keep out a little bit. I'm going to stay a little higher. And then just return to that rhythm of your breath. So again, sometimes counting the breath, inhaling to the count of 6 or 7, and then exhaling to that same count can feel really helpful. Kind of help to give the brain a little something to chew on, especially if this is an intense stretch in your body. Are there places where you're gripping and holding that you don't need to? Can you soften in those spots? Got another minute here. So feel free to make any adjustments that might feel good, going a little deeper, back out a little bit. Good. On your inhale, you start to roll on out. So we're going to transition this into our single pigeon swan pose in the yin vernacular. So we're going to keep this right leg forward. So you're going to bend that knee and reach your left leg back. This is a beautiful spot to take a little support underneath that right sit bone. If you're more open in your hips, you'll take your right shin parallel to the mat. Otherwise, you're going to bring that right heel closer to your left hip. And then you fold down any amount. Again, you can be pretty upright. Maybe you're resting your head on a block. And I'm going to just give you another variation here. So if you come into this pose, this is a deep, deep hip stretch. For some of us, it just doesn't feel very good. So you could do it on your back. So reclining pigeon, you would take your right ankle above your left knee. You could stay here like this, gently pressing your right hand into that right thigh. Maybe bending your left knee into your chest. So interlacing fingers either around your shin or your thigh. So see where you're at. You could split, do half and half. Like I said, if you come into one variation and if at any point it starts to feel like too much, you can always back out. Just paying attention to the sensations that you're getting. And they can be really, really intense. It is not easy holding these poses like this. So this is definitely very different than a restorative class. We're kind of surrendering and letting go. There's a lot of work happening here, even though it's in a more passive way. So if you're on your back, you just stay where you're at. If you are in your sleeping swan pose, you want to get a little more of a back bend. Maybe you start to straighten the arms. You could even come up to fingertips, kind of press shoulder heads back. So a little back bend feeling for the last minute can feel really nice. You'll get more of a stretch also in that left hip flexor. All right, so we're gonna make our way to the second side. So you're gonna lean to that right hip if you're upright. You're gonna swing your left leg around. So now the sole of the right foot comes to the inside of that left thigh. If you're on your back, you can just roll on up and join us here. You could also take a tree pose on your back. That would work too. So just laying down and doing the pose. Good. And then again, you just start to fold your way in here, any amount, taking your time. So kind of just slowly working your way in. It's absolutely okay if this pose looks a little ugly, so you can round in your spine a lot. In fact, that can be a really nice stretch in the back of the neck, the upper shoulders. It even gets into different places in the legs, places that we don't get to when we're activating the muscles. You're getting curious about how this side feels different in your body, if it feels different. Even though this is, in practice can be fairly intense, there's also this beautiful quietness about it. So soak that up, enjoy that. And if that's challenging for you, that's okay too. Do your best. If you're in that camp, again, counting the breath can be really helpful. And in giving your brain a little something to chew on. Down to our final minute here. What adjustments do you need to make? Are you gripping anywhere in your body that you don't need to? Can you soften those spots? Good. We start to roll on up and we make our way into our sleeping swan pose. So we're going to bend the left knee, rock to that left sit bone, and then extend your right leg back. So little support underneath that left sit bone, left heel closer to right hip if you're a little tighter in your hips, and then slowly melting your way in. And again, you can do this pose on your back. So you could cross your left ankle over your bent right knee. And either stay there with the right foot on the floor or hug the knee into your chest. And just because you did sleeping swan on the other side doesn't mean that you'll do it on this side per se. So if there's anything going on and you need to adjust, know that it's okay to do that. And then just release in here. Feel that stretch in the hips, can be quite intense. Be feeling it in the right hip flexor area a little bit as well. Yes, you're working in some specific spots, but make sure that you're not working in spots that you don't need to be. Good. So we're moving to our final minute here. If you're in your sleeping swan and you want to upright yourself, so just getting a little back bend, you're pressing down into your palms, shoulder heads draw back. You can even come up onto your fingertips if you want to go a little further. And again, that does get into the hip flexor a little more, kind of changes the stretch that you're getting in that left hip. Couple more good breaths here. Okay, so release if you're on your back. If you're upright, we're going to swing this right leg up and over, and we're going to come into our butterfly pose. So bringing the soles of your feet together, and let's go a little wider with our diamonds. So you can sneak your feet forward, and we're going to come into a forward fold here. So you might be able to kind of round on in, just resting your head on your feet. You can use a block. You also can take this pose on your back, which can feel really nice as well. Just gives your spine a little more support if you've got stuff going on there. So butterfly pose on your back. You could take support underneath your thighs if you need. Few minutes here. As you transition into each new pose, maybe just check in with your breath again. Observe where the sensations in the body have shifted. Just gently easing yourself in the tiniest amount as we kind of sit into these holds. Another 7 or 8 good breaths here. Good. As you inhale, you roll on up. If you're on your back, you can just hug your knees into your chest, give them a squeeze. So I want to come into a thoracic backbend. We're going to hold this about 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm going to show you the variations that we have here, so you can just observe really quick before you come into the pose. So if you have a couple of blocks and you know that you like getting into the thoracic spine pretty deep, you are going to lay back over one block. So it's going to hit at the bottom of your shoulder blades. And then you're going to have a block potentially for your head, which can feel really nice. So I have long limbs, so I don't necessarily need one. And you can play with different heights with this middle block. So the other variation, if the blocks feel a little too intense in your body, the other option would be to grab a blanket, or you could grab your mat and make a little roll up. And you're basically going to do the same thing, but it's not going to be quite as intense. So you're going to lay back over this roll up. You can make it skinnier if you're a little tighter. And then you can bring your arms in a cactus shape, T shape, whatever feels good. Legs can be extended to straight or knees bent. So just play around with both of those variations. I'll stay in this one for a little bit and then I'll demo the other one again. Like I said, we're going to be here for 4 minutes. So a nice long hold. So feel those shoulder blades release over the setup that you're using. Feel your chin gently tuck towards your chest. Feel the expansion into your rib cage as you take those nice deep inhales. Those full, complete exhales. And again, if you are on your blocks, if at any point that starts to feel like too much, you can always transition into the version with your blanket. Observe if there's any tension in your shoulders, in your face, your jaw, soften in those places. Maybe you're clenching your fingers, your toes. Let them release. Got a little over a minute here. Enjoy the quiet, enjoy the stillness, especially if you have a busy afternoon ahead. All right, so from here, we're going to start to make our way out of this. So if you're on your blanket, you're just going to roll off one side or the other. You're welcome to do that if you're on blocks as well. I actually find I like to press into my forearms, lift up, and then you can move the props out of the way. So you're going to release onto your back. Going to give your knees a squeeze into your chest here. And let's just take a quick little twist to release that back bend work. So arms out wide in a knee, T-shape, knees are squeezing in. Go ahead and drop your knees off to one side. You can gaze out over the opposite fingertips. Feel both shoulder blades heavy.
Good. Back to center and then drop knees the opposite direction. And then back to center, one final squeeze, making your way into your final resting pose, Shavasana. So if there's tenderness in your lower back, keep the knees bent, allow them to knock in towards each other. Otherwise, a classic Shavasana here, arms by your side. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then melt in here, soak up these final quiet moments. Shavasana. Good. Let your next inhale be deeper. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch out, just bringing some gentle movement back to your body. And you're going to roll to one side or the other, just finding the fetal position. Pause there a moment. Using your hands to help you press up to comfortable seat. So last check-in here, noticing how you feel differently than when you started an hour ago. Hopefully there's more space in your body, greater sense of ease. Hopefully the breath feels a little steadier and deeper. And as a result of body and breath working together, perhaps your headspace feels a little calmer, quieter. Perhaps there's a little sense of joy. So soak all of that up. Send yourself love and gratitude for showing up and working hard. Just promise yourself that you're going to carry this good feeling you've worked so hard to create with you into the rest of the day, the rest of the week ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart and bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work today. Thank you.